Steel Curtain Network.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what's going on? This is Jeff Hartman of the Steel Curtain Network, joined by Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis. This is another 2023 NFL Draft recap show. We are recapping day 2, rounds 2 and 3. Dave, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, I don't know about you guys. It's 20 after 11 Pittsburgh time. Wake up. This is exciting. This has been so much fun with the Steelers and their 3 picks today, and they gained another one tomorrow. My goodness, I'm flying high. Let's go after this.
All right, Bryan Davis, welcome to the show. What's up?
I am so excited. The Pittsburgh Bulldogs are going to be amazing next year.
At least you didn't say the Maulers.
Well, they didn't pick anybody from Mauler University, so.
Yeah, well, I got to be honest. Like, when the Steelers traded the 80th pick back to 93, there were moments where I'm just like, oh my gosh, can they pick? I'm like falling asleep. And then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, Darnell Washington, I am awake now. But before we talk about the specific players, I first want to ask, you have to start with this. You have to start with where the second round started. And that was that pick number 32. Everyone's sitting there. We're all waiting. Dave has his article ready to go for when the Steelers, if the Steelers trade, and they didn't trade the 32nd pick. Dave, were you surprised that Omar Khan did not trade that pick?
No, I was not surprised. I was pretty adamant with the rest of the staff in our Zoom call with everything. I even put it out there with some of the NFL FFSN guys that I'm like, are the Steelers going to trade this pick? I said, no. I said they would have to get an amazing return. But to me, if you have a few players you're looking at number 17, and one of them is sitting there at 32, someone has to blow you away to move out of that pick. Because is really a 4th or 5th round pick really worth not being able to get the guy that you would have considered taking at 17 had you stayed there? I don't think so. So the Steelers stayed. And some fans might not have liked that at the time, but my goodness, then look what they did later. And that makes it look even better with what they did. I'm glad they stayed there and got Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah, Bryan, we'll get to Bryan in a second. Tennessee obviously traded with Arizona shortly after Pittsburgh made their selection with Joey Porter Jr. And I think that probably Tennessee, they were going to move up. They were expecting some more picks to be exchanged, and Arizona did that. And I don't think Pittsburgh wanted to do that. They weren't about to give up another pick. Like, they would trade the 32nd pick, but they weren't about to give up another one. Arizona, I believe, ended up giving up another draft pick. Steelers didn't have a lot of picks. Maybe that was it. Maybe they wanted more. I don't know. Bryan, what were your thoughts about the Steelers not trading at 32?
Well, this is where not having knee-jerk reactions is really good, because Omar Khan thinks 5 steps ahead. And if you're thinking 6, then he's going to add a 7th, 8th, and 9th. This is how quick this guy is. I think he is one of the smartest GMs in the league. I love him so far. I equated him to if Dumbledore from Harry Potter, who's a wizard, Tony Soprano, who's a gangster, and Yoda, who's really, really smart, had a baby together. And if they did, that's Omar Khan, because this guy's making magic. He's kicking ass and taking names. My gosh, he's shaking you down for your lunch money. And when the Tennessee Titans come in and say, yeah, we want Will Levis, we want this, we'll just do this. As far as I'm concerned, the Cardinals really didn't get that much of a deal because, like you said, they gave some stuff up. Omar Khan, you hear me say it all the time, was not desperate. He knew they had somebody they loved, and this was a chance to go ahead and recoup. Now, they got Joey Porter, and what do? They go find that 4th round pick later. They get that extra pick later. And for really giving up nothing. So I tell you what, not that I want my wife to leave me, but if she did, and I say this with a staunch record of heterosexuality, I'd still marry Omar Khan.
I thought you were going to say that if your wife ever left you, you're going to have Omar Khan arrange to have your next wife because he could probably wheel and deal and get you something pretty equivalent.
That's more respectable. I think we'll try that too.
Is the reception going to be at the Beehive just so we can go ahead and reserve a
Omar's
seat?
classier than that. Yeah, I mean, something on Edison Avenue or something like that.
All right, let's get the super chat here on the screen. Tom Plays Games gives us $2. Said 3 of the guys I wanted have been picked. I'm happy.
Now, just so you know, Tom Plays Games. That was Tom Muir. If you remember, Tom Muir would give us all the stuff.
Yeah,
he told us last night.
What happened to Tom's face?
Yeah, he had to change something with his YouTube. So
no, I'm just.
Shaming Tom. Stop that.
Thanks. If you're watching live on YouTube, you get it. Thanks, Mean Joe gives us $5. Says, how was Darnell Washington still available? Shocked he fell to the Steelers. Help to our run game. Yes, we'll get to that for sure. Thank you for the tip. We appreciate it. So let's go and start with the first selection. 32nd overall, the Steelers take Joey Porter Jr. Should have shocked absolutely no one. And talk about a feel-good story. And I know that, people will say, the romantics out there with the stories and the backdrops and all this, the different narratives that surround these players. And sometimes you get players that come from a really hard luck circumstance. In Joey Porter's case, well, we all know who his father is. Let's talk about Joey Porter Jr. as a football player. Dave, when you added the cornerback that some people mocked to the Steelers at 17, how excited were you at the pick at 32?
I'm happy that they just took who they wanted to have. You had so much time to think about it. So Jeffrey Benedict asked me, well, what are you going to do if they don't take Joey Porter Jr.? I'm like, then that means they like someone even better than him. They got who they liked, who was still there. My big thing with Joey Porter Jr. is, man, the length that he plays with and everything. Some people will say, oh, well, he too physical. Is it going to be a problem? He's another one of those, like I said on the Breaking News podcast, he's kind of polarizing, kind of like Kenny Pickett was last year. Oh, do you like the Pittsburgh kid or do you not like the Pittsburgh kid? Do you like the Penn State guy whose dad played for the Steelers, or do you not like him? I don't see a lot of lukewarm Steelers fans when it comes to Joey Porter Jr. Some of them either really like him or really don't. And of course, the 3 people on Steel Curtain Network staff that don't like him ended up doing the round table for the pick.
Yeah, if I would have known that, I would have switched it to Wilbar, and that's because they like him. I had no clue, but they were objective. I'll give you that.
Well, here's my thing: you follow social media, you follow the fan narrative out there. Boy, did people change quickly. This was like one of those heel turns in wrestling where it's like everyone loves the guy, and then all of a sudden something happens, and you're like, whoa, we hate him now. That's exactly what it felt like, not from everyone, but from a large contingent of the Steelers fan base that, so I don't know. It's like everyone just kind of turned against him. They were jumping off the bandwagon.
There were some people that were like, I didn't like him at 17. Oh, but I feel much better now that it's 32.
He didn't change.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good, Bryan.
So that's what I was planning on talking about. I'm glad Dave brought that up because this is the Terrell Edmunds factor all over again. Now, Terrell Edmunds is no longer in the team, but you just think about this. What a great favor the Steelers actually did Joey Porter Jr. here, because not picking him in the first round. Joey Porter Jr. actually thought when they traded up to the 14th pick, rumor has it that he thought it was him. And it wasn't. I'm sure he was disappointed. And then he dropped, and then he left the draft in Kansas City and went back to the hotel or the Beehive or wherever he goes. KC Beehive. I don't know if they have one. But with that being said, the reason this is a huge favor to this guy is now he's a second round pick, and you don't have that weight of being a first rounder on your shoulders. So it's not all or nothing. And you still have that big shadow in the background that is Broderick Jones that could carry that load of being the first round pick. So, I know everybody wants to be that first round pick, but it's not a bad thing for Joey Porter Jr. because the expectations aren't as lofty. They're still going to be there, but you're not damned with being a bust at number 1, where you can be a really good player and not a superstar at number 2 and still be in the fans' graces.
leaves a little chip on your shoulder too. And
Yeah.
it was pretty crazy that Joey Porter Jr. and his family, they had just gotten back into Pittsburgh and they had just gotten home when the pick was made. And hey, I'm a big first impression guy. You know, I've said that to my own children, when I coach to my players. The fact that Joey Porter Jr. On a what is it, Friday? Is it Friday? Yes, it's Friday. Okay. On Friday night, instead of saying, I'll see you all tomorrow on Saturday for my press conference, he drove down to the facility and did it then. I mean, first impressions are huge. For the media, they probably loved it. I know as a fan, I thought it was really cool to see it there, to see the fan reaction at Stage AE for Cam Hayward's podcast. He had a draft party. Holy cow, the place went nuts. I mean, you can only imagine what Acrisure Stadium will be like if the dude comes down with an interception. So Joey Porter Jr. was the pick at 32, and everyone's kind of wondering, oh my gosh, are they going to trade? They did not trade. And so the next selection was pick 49. And so you're watching, and there's certain names that are coming off the board. The Steelers end up selecting a defensive lineman out of Wisconsin named Keanu Benton. They have had a lot of interest in this young man, and this goes all the way back to pre-Senior Bowl and Senior Bowl. I remember writing the article. It was like a one-off that I saw a quote that Keanu Benton said that Mike Tomlin told me, quote, I'm on their radar. And I wrote the article, and people said, who is this guy? Well, yeah, they end up drafting me in the second round. Dave, what did you think about Keanu Benton?
He was someone who was tied for the Steelers for so long. I was constantly looking at him anytime I ran a mock draft simulation. I didn't want to take him at 32. But sometimes that's where I would see him, because doing the mock draft Monday articles, I would generally look at who the Steelers took at 17 and who would be left at 32. He was a guy that sometimes was to the Steelers at 32. They got him at 49. He's a nose. If Steelers fans would have been saying, I want that nose tackle that just sits in the middle and stuffs the run, this is what you got here. He is a nose tackle. That's where he'll start. Was it Terrell Austin that said that's where he's going to be to start, but that's not where he's going to necessarily be locked into forever. Meaning you put him at nose tackle, you do your job, you play great at nose, and eventually you work into the rotation at defensive tackle in sub package. Love that idea. To me, he could start sooner than anybody else in this draft so far, because he could be out there. Well, of course, it depends if the Steelers start in their base package or not. But he very well can step right in the base package, 3-4 nose tackle. They don't have to throw him in there, but kind of like a Javon Hargrave, show that you're ready, and the Steelers don't have to hold you back. Oh my goodness, they put Martavius Adams out there the week they picked him up off the practice squad back in 2021. So it's a position that you could do that. I think he could be there fairly early, but then again, you're not having to load him down with snaps as a rookie. If you just pretty much keep him at nose tackle, if he shows that he can do the job. Love the pick, because I think it can help the Steelers right now. But based on what position it is, like I've said before, sometimes the Steelers want to slow play not completely slow play, but not start their first round picks right in week one. Oh, but they did with Najee Harris. That's because he played running back. That's a position you could do that. Nose tackle in the second round. That's a guy you could put in there right away.
So you think he could start over or sooner than Broderick Jones? Because last night you were pretty confident that he'll start a good many games.
Well, I'm telling you, I would not be shocked at all if, like I said, whether you call it starting the game, because it depends on if they start in sub package or not. But I could see him being the nose tackle week one, because he's not going to have to be out there every snap anyway, and he could handle it as long as he shows that he's ready for the NFL. I think because of the position he plays, it's easier for him to get on the field in that position sooner.
All right, Bryan, what are your thoughts on the Keanu Benton selection?
Everybody wants the next Casey Hampton in the middle there. If the Steelers get the next Joel Steed, or the Steelers get the next Javon Hargrave, then they've got a major upgrade to that defensive line. I don't really with this pick, I think Montravius Adams is going to be is not going to stick with this team that much longer, because this guy, he is a fierce run stopper. He's got 315, 311 pounds, 315, something like that. He's 6'4". He's just he's a nice fit in there for and with the guys around him like Ogunjobi, like Cam Hayward. Sure, he's not going. I mean, he might not start right away. He could get in there, but he seems like he's got a lot of excitement about him. And, I think he has a high motor and he wants to achieve and he wants to get in there. He is very motivated is what I'm trying to say, but I'm really tired right now.
Yeah, I said this because obviously I'm writing the articles for the website, and I've always tried to change my tweet per my personal Twitter account. And I said, yeah, I saw this one coming a mile away. And if he was available, I felt the Steelers were going to pick him. They're pretty transparent about some of their picks every single year. Sometimes it's round one. Najee Harris is an example. This was one where if Keanu Benton was available and there wasn't some other, they had to take him way higher, they clearly like the guy. They would not have spent as much time on him if they didn't like him. But still, let's take a look now. So round two, that's it for the Steelers. I'm sorry. No, was that three? Yeah, that was it.
Yes.
Round three is when things get crazy. Go ahead, Dave. What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I just assumed you're taking a break.
No, not yet.
Oh, okay.
Not yet.
Okay.
So actually, we could take a break. Let's take a break. We'll talk about round three, the craziness, the trade, the giant of a man. Well, if you're watching on Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube, stay tuned. We'll be right back. Otherwise, listen to a word from our sponsors. All right, Steeler fans, we are back. Talking round three. Round three was when the Steelers were supposed to pick 80th overall. And all of a sudden, we're all waiting. Who was the pick? Who's the pick? Trade. And they make a trade. Carolina, correct?
Yes, at number 80.
So they take 80. Pittsburgh moves back to 93, and they recoup a late fourth-round pick. Dave, do you have that number, what that is?
Yes, it's 132.
132.
They moved from 80 to 93 and added 132.
Right. And that's a Christian McCaffrey pick, too.
There you go. We'll see MC action. So you're looking at it and you're like, wow, look, the Steelers move back 13 spots. Jeff almost falls asleep during that time period. And then they get a fourth round pick. They lost a fourth round pick to move up and get Broderick Jones in round one when they traded with the New England Patriots. Nonetheless, in the third round, no one, I can honestly say that I don't think there's anyone that I read, listened to, talked to, any other means of communication thought that Darnell Washington, tight end out of Georgia, would be available at pick number 93. No one. Anyone, if anyone's heard anyone say, oh, yeah, Darnell Washington is going to fall all the way to 93, I did not listen to them. But, Dave, when he was there, we heard about the medicals. Is that concerning to you?
As a large person myself, I'm going to say somewhat, because being a big dude, when you start to have some knee issues, they don't really go away, because it's just that you're big and your knees have to work extra hard to deal with the fact that you're a big guy. I think of Greg Odom in the NBA that just had the knee problems, but he was such a big guy, he could never really amount to do much of anything. Does that mean that that's what's going to happen with Darnell Washington? No. So I'm saying it's a concern. But if you're taking a guy at 93 that some thought was going to be taken at the end of the first round or early second round, because you're taking a flyer on his knees, I'm fine with that. I really am. So I'm not saying that it's not concerning, but I am saying that I still really like the pick.
Okay, Bryan, just about the measurables, or not the measurables, medicals. Hey, there was rumors, at least floating around, for one of the reasons why Darnell Washington fell as far as he did. Was there some questions about knee health, Bryan? Does that concern you?
Of course it does. However, you still pick the guy. I was rooting for them to pick him while everybody else was letting them go by. The one thing that I thought is they know more than I do. And, we've seen so much intelligence out of Omar Khan, Andy Weidel, Mr. Rooney, Mike Tomlin. We've seen this, and they're willing to take a flyer on it. So I've believed so much, especially in the last just the last 3 months and everything that they've done. So of course it's going to concern me, because you never know. Like Dave said, I mean, I remember Greg Odom. I mean, I realize that could happen, but you're in a position right now with the tight ends where you have, of course, Pat Freiermuth, you have Zach Gentry there. You even have, even though they've mentioned him as a fullback now, you have Connor Hayward, and then you can kind of ease him in and not overtax him right away, because you need to get him in the starting lineup. It's he's going to get moved in, but it's going to be a slower progression for him because of what's in front of him. This is a great pick for the future. This is the great pick to protect the fact that you're worried about concussions with Pat Freiermuth, but you've seen what he can do. And I remember the day that Eric Green was drafted, and I'm like, who? He came out of Liberty. I had no clue who this guy was, and all these people now are talking about how he's a more athletic Eric Green. And if you can get that out of him for a few years and maybe more, and then you those knee injuries don't rear its ugly head, then you're okay. So I mean, I love the pick here. This makes 4 top 50 picks for the Pittsburgh Steelers that they got in 93 picks. And it's just absolutely amazing. And not only they got that, they got a 4th rounder back.
Yeah, so a lot of people were asking, or I saw someone asked in the live chat, did he participate in the combine? So I went to our BTSC, Behind the Steel Curtain, Big Board, which is a website. You go to btscbigboard.com. It's actually a really cool website. And they actually have his combine results. So in terms of height and weight, 6'7", 265 pounds. Believe it or not,
that's not that heavy.
No,
for that
it's
tall.
not that heavy. That's
not
exactly
that
what I was
heavy
going to
for that
say,
tall.
Dave. That's exactly what I was going to say.
You know,
Like
he just looks bigger, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, 265, but he's 6'7". So let's look at, arm length 34.4, 40-yard dash. He ran the 40 and 4.6. I mean, think about that. For a 6'7" individual to run the 40 and 4.6, he had 21 reps on the bench press. His vertical leap was 31. Broad jump 122, didn't do the 3 cone, and a shuttle of 4.1. So pretty remarkable. And then when you're looking at rankings on the various big boards, so he was 33 on the BTSC, 68 PFF, 34 CBS, 40 McShay, NFL 36, Sporting News 44, Bleacher Report 26, The Athletic 34, Draft Network 39. They got him at 93. Like, that's what's crazy. That's what's really crazy for me. And, a lot of people are, wondering about his physical stature, and I understand that. But the Steelers had him on a top 30 visit. I believe it was towards the end of that cycle when they had, there's a deadline where you have to have that done. So they do medical checks on those visits, and that's part of it. So clearly they're at least comfortable enough. And you have to ask yourself, too, with the tight end room that the Steelers have of Freiermuth, Gentry, Hayward, how much are they going to need him to be used right away? Could they take it easy? We'll see. We'll see. Snowman gives us $5. I'm going to get this on the screen here. I'll get to you, Dave. He said, are the Steelers moving Connor Hayward to fullback? Is that why they drafted a tight end? I do know that Matt Canada, who did surface signs of life today, press conference after the pick of Darnell Washington, he did say that Connor Hayward is probably going to be playing more fullback this upcoming season. So that might be the end of the Derek Watt tenure in Pittsburgh. But nonetheless, when you get a player who's kind of like an extra tackle, everyone always says the same thing about Zach Gentry, right? He's the blocking tight end. You talk to people who are offensive linemen that follow those things. What do they say? He's not that great of a blocker. Darnell Washington comes in, is just as big as Zach Gentry, and is already a better blocker. And he's used to Broderick Jones being right next to him. I saw some video before we went live on Twitter of those two guys. Holy crap. I mean, those two giant human beings those poor defensive backs and linebackers, they don't stand a chance. So, Dave, what were you going to say? I didn't want to cut you.
Oh, I was going to say the Steelers have had 4 picks so far in the draft. And going back to before the draft started, if you were looking at what the Steelers got, I, in essence, feel like they got 2 17s and 2 32s with what they actually got in players.
Yeah.
They got 2 players that I would have been great with at 17 and 2 players that I'd have been great with at 32.
You know, something that we said on our Zoom call as a staff, we kind of do a Zoom call during the draft so we can all talk about things. Yeah, everyone's like, the picket fence, they're building the picket fence. Yeah, Kenny Pickett has to be unbelievably happy with what the Steelers have done. But you know who should be really happy? And I said this in the Zoom call is Najee Harris. Najee Harris has to be like, thank you. Thank you, Andy Weedle. Thank you, Omar Khan. Maybe for a few times a game, I won't be contacted in the backfield when I get the football. But Bryan, I'll give you a chance to say anything you want about the acquisition of Darnell Washington.
All right, so I'm going to go back in time a couple years. Let's go back to 2019. Dave Schofield and I are on December 15th of that year. We're at Heinz Field. We're spooning, watching the game together in snow. And he keeps on complaining about something. And it wasn't a complaint because I agreed with him. He's like, they telegraph everything. Every time they say that Zach Banner is eligible, they're giving away the play. Now you have a tight end that could be an extra lineman there, and you can still disguise some things and throw a pass there, and you are not showing your hand. So that's what I love about this so much. This guy, man, it's gonna be exciting. Somebody mentioned, maybe it was you, Jeff, that mentioned that they had a basketball team now, and it's kind of like that. I really love what they've done with this offense and what they've done with the defense. But Darnell Washington, he was kind of a darling of a lot of people, and they brought him in. I was ecstatic. I yelped, and it was late. I woke people up. And that's fine because they'll get used to it because I get paid to do this. So, but the bottom line to the whole thing is everything seems to come up in the NFL draft in the last week. Nobody was really making a big stink about the knees. You might have heard it here and there that he had a problem with it, but this was not a big deal until this week, it seemed, especially in the mock drafts that I saw, especially when Dave listed on how he was ranked everywhere. So this comes up. This is the equivalent of saying somebody has a character issue the week of. This is watching a guy drop because you have a video of him with a gas mask, a whole lot of smoke. You know, I mean, it's really funny. You wait until draft week to bring up the reason why he's not good because guess what? It's an excuse sometimes with the media and fans to say, oh, here's the reason why our team didn't pick him and let him slide. And then Pittsburgh goes and picks him up in 93. So I got to tell you, there's a lot of smoke right now, but really, shouldn't this have been out a big deal 6 weeks ago at the combine? Yeah. And it wasn't.
Yeah. And that's what's kind of crazy about this is you heard, I didn't hear anything about this until honestly tonight, because they were trying to explain why he hadn't been picked yet. And they mentioned that it might not even be a thing. It might not be a thing at all. That could have been just speculation. Do you know what could have been the reason why he wasn't drafted sooner? It could be this: 45 receptions, 774 yards, 3 touchdowns. That's his entire 3-year career. He only had 28 receptions, 454 yards, and 2 touchdowns this past year. Now, I will say that when I say his entire 3-year career, it really equates to about 2 years when you look at the games that he played. He wasn't utilized as a big threat in their passing game. He was utilized as a blocker a lot and someone that could be an option in the passing game. So that could have been part of the problem as well. I don't see that as a problem because to me, that already says more production than Zach Gentry.
Yeah, no, you're right. And it's It's unique because it's kind of like the Andrew Billings thing. We all remember that draft where everyone's like, they're going to get Billings. They're going to get Billings. And he just keeps falling and falling and falling. I think it was a knee problem for him. We'll see. We shall see. And I'm sure that he's going to be flying into Pittsburgh this weekend. And I'm sure they're going to have him in front of the media and they'll be able to answer questions himself. Steel Dog 88 gives us $2. Thank you for the tips and thoughts on the upcoming 4th round pick, Nick Herbig, brother of Nate Herbig, who's on the Steelers. Yeah, he's a Wisconsin linebacker. He's still on the board, but the 4th round pick is now interesting. They get that back. Just so we're all clear, in day 3, rounds 4 through 7, they only have 3 picks, 4th round and 2 7th. So unless somehow they trade the 4th round pick and turn it into a 5th and a 6th or a couple 6, I don't know. Not a lot of action going to be happening there on day 3, but what do you think is an approach going into this upcoming day? Dave, we'll start with you.
It's the approach on day 3.
Yes, sir.
Hey, we've got 4 great players that we're really happy with. I'm speaking as if I'm the front office. Let's see if someone really jumps off the page. There might be some positions where you need some depth, like edge rusher, because if not, you're going to have to address it in free agency still, or unless they really are planning on moving DeMarvin Leal there to be more of his primary role, which I'm not saying they are. They aren't saying at all what they're doing with DeMarvin Leal. So other than something like that kind of position, it's just really all right. Let's see where we can create more competition, because now thinking that anyone's going to step in and be a huge contributor after round 3, the Steelers technically, let's go ahead and say it, they have 2 4th round picks, because technically they have one from last year. Yes, I took your line bad. You're welcome. Is that they took Calvin Austin, because with no Calvin Austin the third last year, it's like having an extra 4th round pick this year. So don't take another wide receiver in the 4th round, because people will be like, you have 2 4th round receivers. No, I'm not even saying that. I don't even care what positions they go with. If there's someone you like, get it. Go get them. To me, the Steelers have already done a great job with this draft. I felt that this draft was more about quality than quantity is what the Steelers needed. And to me, they got the quality. I don't care about the rest of the quantity. All it can do is maybe get me excited more, or say, hey, they'll take a shot, take a flyer, and if it doesn't work out, oh well.
There you go. Bryan, anything to add about that 4th round thought?
Absolutely. Everything Dave said and then some. And here's the then some. Listen here. Check this out. You're going to call me lazy. That's fine. I don't care if they make another pick past the 4th round. Let's take that 4th round pick and hey, go ahead. Maybe you trade up in the 4th round and get rid of those 2 7s, and we can all go to Applebee's or something.
See, now you're taking my line. Like I took yours. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't even.
I love it.
Actually, I didn't know you said that because there's so much congestion on those calls. Everybody's talking over each other, and Andrew has to tell everybody where every single player was on his board. Sorry, 4th wall broken down. I'm sorry. I love the guy, though.
That dude can get no respect. He's like Rodney Dangerfield of the Steel Curtain Network.
Oh, but he's smart as a whip, man. I love that we have him. But here's the thing. I talked yesterday about being 4 for 4, and why be 4 for 8? So if they end up being 4 for 5 or 5 for 5, hey, call it a day. I'm fine with it. I really don't care if Tyler Matakevich comes to town in the 7th round. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's nice to have those picks, but I want to trade out of the 4th round to get a 5th or a 6th when you can still get a really good player in the 4th round. So with that, don't do anything. Just keep what you're doing. And we're not used to having the smartest guy in the world running our team. And that's what's happening. We're cheering for Omar Khan. And I know I put him up on a really high pedestal. In fact, if you go into my living room right now, there's a picture of all 3 of my kids and then Omar Khan. And in fact, I called his parents and I got a picture of him as a baby and I superimposed him on one of my on Connor's picture. Me holding him. I mean, that's how much I love this guy right now. But you don't need to do anything else right now. You don't have to take that 4th round pick and whatever happens in the 7th. In fact, Omar Khan and Mike Tomlin, they could go to Applebee's or the Beehive. It won't matter because you know what? They could say, hey, Sheldon, get some experience. There you go. Let Sheldon White do it.
You talk about putting him on a pedestal. My gosh, you said you were going to marry him.
Oh yeah. I'm in love with this guy.
As heterosexual as you could say that. I mean, you said you would marry another man. So there you go.
Staunch record of heterosexuality. George Costanza.
There you go. Yeah. Not that there's anything wrong with that. All right. Felicia gives us $5. Welcome back, Felicia. I haven't seen you in a while.
Hey, Felicia.
Said, there you go. If we thought Jaylen Warren was a beast with the little help he had, now Jaylen can really eat up the field with that pick. Yes, Najee, Jeff, I agree. I think the running game could be one of the most improved aspects of the Steelers offense in 2023. Everyone's going to talk about Kenny Pickett, rightfully so. I'm not taking anything away from him, but because it's becoming very clear how the Steelers want to win. They want to win by running the ball, controlling the clock. In other words, take the second half of 2022 and try to duplicate it for a 17-game schedule. And Felicia's gave another $5. She said Chase was the gift that kept giving. He announced his replacement in George Pickens, which is funny. He did make that pick last year in the draft. And with the trade, we got Joey Porter Jr.
That's the first time I really thought about that was Chase Claypool for Joey Porter Jr. I just, I'm so far removed from Claypool that sometimes I forget that's where that pick
Brian's going to have to say something about Omar Khan. Go ahead, Brian.
No. It might be a little too premature, but I'm doing it already. Joey Eugene Porter.
Oh,
Jr.
Whoa.
Wow.
That's not my Batman cup. Okay. For the Family Guy fans out there. So middle name madness is for those that have earned it. Like, we don't even say Cam Hayward's middle name. I don't know why, but we don't.
Cam Phillips Hayward? We say it all the time.
We've never said
I've said it at least 4 times. So it's bad.
I keep forgetting it. I've said it, but then I forget it. But
that's a rarefied air, though. And this guy's never even played a snap.
But the more you know that I did the other day, because I just was lazy. I just said, let's do everything Joey Porter. So I had to do the Joey Eugene Porter. And somebody
you want to talk about senior? You want to talk about senior?
Because he's junior. He's got to have the same middle name.
So that's why it's kind of there because he's junior.
It is kind of there. I get it.
Joey Gene.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we've done middle names without someone who's like a mainstay.
I don't know Broderick Jones' middle name.
Wasn't it Kenneth Shane Pickett right off the bat last year?
Oh yeah, we knew it beforehand.
That's different. He's a quarterback. He's the quarterback, man. The quarterback, man. It's my quarterback.
This draft has been so much fun.
I got the middle name.
For
we don't have
Broderick?
to use it. Yeah, but for later, it's Broderick Bernard Jones.
Have we ever said a middle name for any offensive lineman? I don't think so.
Marquise LaShawn.
Yeah, but I've never said that. Like I wouldn't know that.
That's wrong because we have said the middle name because the middle name's Marquise. It's LaShawn Marquise.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
I know Christopher Lynn Boswell. We all know Benjamin Todd Roethlisberger, but
Trent Jordan Watt.
Yeah, Najee Jerome Harris. So.
And then I can't pronounce it, but Minka, Anani, Anane. I gotta meet him just to ask him.
Isn't Najee's actually Mazee?
Mazee, remember he cussed he cussed me out on that video?
Which was hysterical.
No, he didn't cuss you out.
No,
he was speaking to you nicely, but using profanity.
He was nice, but he was using but he was accusatory. You're the one blanking up my name.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's not me. This guy's in his 20s. I'm 49 years old at the time, and I'm like, it wasn't me.
All right, so let's do some final thoughts from day 2. Dave, go ahead.
I'm good. I'm not good about final thoughts. I'm good with this Steelers draft. I mean, I don't know what they could do to make me not like it at this point. It's not like, oh, they blew it in the 4th round. Now I don't feel very good about this draft. No, they knocked it out of the park in the picks that matter most. This is what carries us from April to August. This right here, this is great. This is fun. Let's keep riding this high.
All right, Bryan, go ahead. Final thoughts.
All right, this is going to be unpopular, but I got to say it. This is a Baltimore Raven type draft in the Ozzie Newsome, Eric DaCosta type mold, because every time you watch the draft and you're going up against those guys in purple, they pick a guy that you want. And now I think the other teams are seeing Pittsburgh not only picking up names, but picking up names that fit and are right when you're like, oh, I remember like past years where like when Baltimore picks, we're like, oh, when Cincinnati would pick, we're like, when Cleveland picks, we're just like, yeah, same old Browns. But this is one of those drafts that it's very fan friendly right now. And I know who all of these guys are, and I usually don't know who these guys. And Jeff even knew who some of these guys past the first round were, which is absolutely amazing. And he admits that's not a rip. He admits it. Yeah. So I just really like what they've done here. I think Omar Khan, Andy Weidel, and even Mike Tomlin and the Rooneys have upped their game. They've changed the landscape, and look. The legacy of Kevin Colbert is fantastic, but this is a new era, and they are really going for it right now. Somebody mentioned in the live chat that if these guys all hit, that you could combine these guys for executives of the year. Look, I'm not going that far. I'm just saying right now that this is when you're talking about your wish lists, the Steelers never really get much that's on your wish list. This time around, they did, and that's why I'm so excited, and I'm giddy.
There you go. Let's get the super chat here. Andrew Palladino. I think that's my buddy from West Virginia. He said, he gave us $9.99. Thank you very much, Andrew. He said, any concerns about not getting a stud inside linebacker? A more draft to be had, of course. Yes. Are we okay with a Landon and Holcomb back there? Incredible draft so far. I got shot in Denver. That's right. That's none of it. That's the senior. That's senior.
No, I got shot in Denver.
Yeah. Joey, can you be quiet? Man, hell no. He shot me in Denver. So the inside linebacker class, I'm just going to lean on people like Andrew Wilbar and Jeremy Betts that know where these players ate at the cafeterias on campus and stuff and did all that stuff. They said that it was not a deep class for inside linebackers. I mean, once you got past the was it Campbell? The
Jack
Iowa?
Campbell.
Yeah, yes. And he went first round. Other than that, it just wasn't a very deep class. I think that if someone like that would have been available at 32, then it would have been an option. But I guess they could have taken him with their first pick. Technically, like Dave said, he went 18th. We'll see how it goes. But Dave, thoughts?
I was going to say, I was told by many of Steeler fans and those that are here with the Steel Curtain Network in the live chat often that, hey, inside linebacker isn't that big of a deal if you've got a strong defensive line and a strong secondary behind them. That it's one of the positions in there that isn't as important if you're really strong as those other ones. I'm not saying I completely buy into that, but if the Steelers added more strength up the middle, in the middle of their defense, then to me, they got better at inside linebacker if someone like Keanu Benton can take on double teams and keep guys from getting to the linebackers.
Bryan, any thoughts?
Those guys after free agency were considered an upgrade over what they had last year too. So that's something that you might not be sold on them, but if you feel like it's an upgrade over the Devin Bush Miles Jack combination, then I think you can get away with it. And we haven't seen them together on the field yet, and they seem like very cerebral players. So with building around them, like Dave Schofield said, by having those guys, I feel fine with them.
Let's also not forget Mark Robinson. Steelers see him every day. Maybe they have some hope that he can fill a specific role on this defense, not an every down starter, but You just don't know those things. We don't know. We won't know it until they actually get on the football field. So, all right, that does it for us. We will be back tomorrow after day 3 wraps up to wrap up the entire draft, to see what happened, see what new players the Steelers bring in, and maybe even preview some undrafted free agents. In the meantime, I ask if you're listening this, watching this, wherever, make sure you find us on our audio platform. You can go to any platform and search Steel Curtain Network. Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, Anchor, Pandora, we're everywhere. Just search Steel Curtain Network. There's so many shows that are not simulcast on Facebook, Twitter, or on YouTube. So check us out there on all of your social media platforms. Just search the same thing, Steel Curtain Network, and you'll find us. We appreciate it. Give us a like or give us a subscribe on YouTube. We do appreciate it. So, all right, that does it. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
We'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy the draft.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.